be wondering, what in the world just happened? Stay tuned. What's up, y'all? My name is Justin Murray. I am founder, owner, and operator of Str8 Up Productions, and I am here to help you with this wonderful journey, this wonderful world that we call music, all right? I'm here for all instruments, all music endeavors, whether you're a writer, mixing engineer, performer, instrumentalist, vocalist, whatever. I am here to just share some content and knowledge to help you get to that next stage in your career, all right? So, you just saw that craziness, right? We are going to talk about scales today. Scales, all right? That is a key component in everything that you just heard, everything that you just saw. Some of your favorite players, your favorite soloists, they all use scales to some degree. Some form of scales to some degree, all right? Scales, like, just sprout into everything. They're using chord progressions. They're using chords themselves, right? How you solo over chord changes. All that stems from scales, melodies, riffs. If you know scales, it's going to help you learn some of your favorite riffs and create your own because you can hear what's in your head quicker, all right? You can figure out what that stuff is a lot quicker if you have a strong scalar foundation. So let's dive in. All right, so we are at the keyboard again today, all right? I'm gonna stick mainly in C today, all right? C, as we know, is just kind of like our musical ground zero, right? No sharps, no flats, especially when dealing with C major, all right? So it's a great place to get started. So we're talking about a couple scales today. I'm gonna start with the major scale, all right? So the thing about scales is just a collection of certain intervals, right? Going from tonic to tonic, all right? And what happens in between gives us a certain collection of sounds to which we then ascribe a name to. So major scale, minor scale, pentatonic, chromatic, all that kind of stuff, all is determined upon what kind of intervals we place in between our two root notes, all right? So we're gonna deal with the major scale today, all right? So how you compose the major scale is start the root, go up a whole step, another whole step, half step, a whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay, I'll play it again. Root, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay? Now, why am I giving you intervals instead of note names? I'll tell you why. I want you to take this and, number one, figure them out for yourself, right? What's a whole step up from C? What's a whole step up from D? I just gave you an answer, all right? And then take it to all 12 keys, all right? Take that same pattern, that same formula to all 12 keys. No transposing. All right, get the sound under your fingers, get the notes under your fingers, right? Get the right fingering under your finger. All right, be able to play your scales up and down. All right, with the right fingering, both hands. All right. So be able to do that. So that is what you work on in your practice time, all right? So that's one scale, the major scale. All right, now we're gonna deal with the minor scale. Now we're only gonna deal with the natural minor scale today. There are actually 3 types of minor scales, but we're just gonna deal with natural minor today, all right? That's kind of one of the main common ones. So, how we compose a minor scale, a natural minor scale. We're starting the root again, whole step, half step this time, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Okay? So in that scale, we only really changed 3 notes, and that's the 3rd one, the 6th one, and the 7th one. All right? So these three guys from the major scale go down a half step. All right? So I'll play it again. Root, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. All right? All right, now this is a good time to kind of play through both of them and kind of hear what the difference is, right? From major to minor. All right, what kind of sounds does that give you? What kind of flavors? What kind of ingredients does that give you? And what kind of melodic content can you come up with those sounds, right? All right, I kind of cheated there, my bad. Okay, so we went through major, we went through minor. Let's deal with dominant now. Okay, let's check out dominant. So, dominant is very similar to the major scale. We only have one note different, all right? And that's our 7th note, all right? Which, again, I'll let you figure out what that is later. So, we're starting our root, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. All right? So this is the only note that changes. All right, now major scale is this guy. Dominant is this guy. All right. All right. Okay, so that's a fun one. All right. Let's deal with the pentatonic scale now. Now, you may not know the scale by that name, by its formal name, the pentatonic scale, but you have heard this scale everywhere. When I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. Singers use it. Guitar players use it. Wind players use it. Pianists use it. Bass players use it. Everywhere. It's in riffs. It's in little motifs. It's in string arrangements. It's everywhere, right? It's 5 notes. And it's really easy, especially for guitar players, because they can play it in this really nice pattern and just move it all up and down the neck. They can extend it into octaves, and it's just a really fun thing to do. All right? So, how we compose the pentatonic scale, the major pentatonic scale, is C, which is our root. All right, so start with the root, whole step, skip 1, go to the 5th scale degree of the major scale, and then go up another whole step. All right, and to finish it off, we just go back to the root. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. All right, then back to the 1. All right. So taking those components from the major scale, and we get this cool connection of notes. All right. That's where all that kind of stuff comes from. All right. That's the pentatonic scale, all right? So that's a fun one. Let's deal with this one, the chromatic scale, all right? Now, for those of you who do not know, chromatics is just a fancy word that means half steps. The chromatic scale is just all half steps from tonic to tonic. So, we got the root, half step, half step, half step, half step. You get the idea, right? All right, so if you think about steps, it's just like if you're going up the steps, you're hitting every step. You're not skipping one, you're not jumping from, bottom step to top step, you're hitting every little step. All right, so that's a fun one. And the cool thing about that is easy to transpose and it's easy to modulate, right? All right, and I'll help you out fingering wise here for pianists here. It's all fingers 1 and 3. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. Now when you're doing the half steps, you do have to use 2. Sorry. All right. So that's a cool one. And again, when you're practicing this stuff, just like we talked about in a couple of videos prior, play through, hear that surface. You want to hear that, even if you're on a keyboard like I'm playing, you want to hear the bottom of that surface. All right? You want that. Be sure to play through. You want those fingers nice and strong. All right? The last one I want to talk about today is the blues scale. This is a really cool scale. All right? So this is kind of like a mixture of like major, minor, dominant kind of stuff happening here. A little minor pentatonic in there as well. So starting our root, then we go a step and a half, we go up a minor third, then a whole step, half step, get that sharp 4 in there, it's a really nice note. Another half step. So what's that? Chromatics right there, right? All right, so after that half step, then we do another step and a half. All right, so another minor third there, and then a whole step. That's the blues scale. For all of our church musicians, that's where we get a lot of our churchy sounds from, right? All of our funk, stanky, bluesy, churchy little material, right? All our soulish stuff right in there, okay? So let's talk for a second. So I just shared with you a bunch of scales, right, that you can add to your arsenal and get very proficient with to help you in your soloing, to help you in your melodic creativity, right? Create some melodic content to help you, whether it's soloing, whether it's actually writing a melody for a song. You can pull from these scales to come up with some really nice things, all right? So I just gave you scales. You might be asking yourself, now what? Like, how do I get from playing scales in a stepwise fashion to really getting creative and out the box and not doing the same, little pattern up and down, right? Let's talk about some ways to practice this scale and other scales that I showed you to kind of get out the box and start to really branch out and let your mind go on a journey, all right? Let's go. So, one of the things you can do is practice them in order, right? You're already doing that. But start to do 2 octaves, branch out. What does that do? It gets you thinking about what's kind of above and below the tonic, right? If I'm going from here to here, and I think that's my stopping point, I don't think about certain ideas like, right? Certain stuff like that. Things got kind of messed up there. Right? Now, that leads me to another one. What did I just do? I just blended the scales. I just went from major to pentatonic, right? Okay, so blend the scales. Go from one scale to another and see what happens. Okay, already some melodic content there. You can even go from major to minor and see what that's like. Okay. Some cool ideas there. And what I even do, I threw in some of the blues scale in there, right? All right? You can even throw some chromaticism in there, right? Okay? Blending scales and just seeing what happens. All right? Another thing you can do is take a scale and practice it in thirds. Okay? So, how do we do that? We just skip a note, right? and think about what that kind of stuff does, right? Okay? And start to kind of branch and just let your mind, let your fingers go on a journey and see what kind of stuff you come up with. Okay? All right, practice doesn't have to be boring, right? Mixing that stuff up. What else can we do? We can get both hands involved and do some scales in the same motion, right? And what this does is just build facility. Now, let me show you how this evolves, right? If I get good at this, together, it leads to be able to sorry. Now, yes, I was kind of blending scales together, but listen to the sound of that, right? Sorry. That's a completely different sound. Now I was just doing octaves back to back. Think about this sound. All right, completely different sound. Right? Now where stuff like that really comes into play is like Latin music. That's kind of a cheat code for you, right? All that. Right? You kind of get to use it there. But it's applicable in other areas. But that's one thing that you can do. You can also do like thirds with both hands, right? So rather than skipping one, you're kind of playing an interval, but you're doing it like a tenth apart. Right? Think about what kind of sounds that gives you and where you can use that kind of stuff. All right? Okay? Scale and chords. That's a big one. That's a big one. So what do? Take the root note, take your tonic note, build your triad, right? Playing chords that way, especially with your left hand, that's going to help you out in comping and stuff later. Being able to play for yourself and comp yourself, right? Okay, that's another way that you can practice your solos. You could do like a chord progression in the left hand with the scale in the right hand. Right? Took out a note so it wouldn't get so muddy down here. But that's one thing you could do. And just to see what kind of notes or melodic ideas work over a certain progression, right? Okay? So those are the things you can do to make your practice a little more enjoyable. All right, so hopefully this video helped you. Hopefully this kind of sparked some ideas and gets you excited to get back in that practice room and add some more tools to your arsenal. I hope this really did inspire you and let you know that the scales that your band director and your piano teacher and your other musical instructors are trying to get you to learn is not just for busy work. It leads to so much other stuff. So much other stuff. All right. So if you are really struggling with scales and knowing note names and things of that nature, I really, really, really urge you to get my book. This book here helps you with scales, it helps you with chords, correct fingering, correct notes, all right? And it really challenges you to get this stuff in your psyche, in your long-term memory, all right? Knowing this stuff off the back of your hand, knowing this stuff quickly, knowing what the 5 of C is, knowing what the 3 of A flat is, knowing what the 4 of B flat is, off the top of your head, all right? Knowing how to build chords, knowing how to do all that good stuff that you need to know. You need to know it. So head over to Amazon, get this book, let it bless you, work on it, don't cheat, okay? There is answer keys in there to help you, but don't cheat yourself. Don't cheat yourself out of a good learning experience. Really work at it and perfect your craft, all right? As always, happy learning, happy practicing, happy music, much love to you. Last thing, I want to remind you all that we are selling merchandise. All right, you guys have seen me in the t-shirt. I'm in the hoodie now. We also have keychains, we have bracelets, we have t-shirts for men and women, different colors, all that good stuff. So if you're interested in some straight up merch, head over to the website. I'll leave a description. I'll leave it in the description below. All right, head over to the website, contact me, and we'll work on getting you some merch, all right? These are really, really comfortable. They're warm, they're pretty, they're bright, they're beautiful, just like you. All right, so enough with me. Get to the practice room. Happy practicing. I'll see you next time.